Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers, presented by your local Ford store and Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me, fresh from the Flyers training center and what appears to be just a whole ton of traffic out there. It is Philly's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor. What's going on today, Chuck?
Yeah, traffic is at a standstill on 295 because I have to go, I guess, down 295 and then over on 76 to get here. And I guess there's an accident on 295 that has 295 completely shut down. So I left the facility probably like 2:45, and I was able to get here at 3:45. This is a probably about a 25 to 30-minute drive normally that was doubled.
Took Charlie an hour.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. But I got here. So
He's
we're
here. He's here, and I don't have to. We don't have the cardboard cutout, and we really want it, Charlie. We really want it for the set. But that said, we have a lot to get to today. It is day 2 of training camp, and I decided, since F Around Fridays are officially over, I still want to have some fun. And the most fun we can have is talking about Matvei Michkov. So we're going to do a lot of that today, but there's a couple of things I got to tell you about first. It's Big Brothers Big Sisters month here all across the All City Network. We are raising money for our partners at Big Brothers Big Sisters. You can donate right below the chat box. There is a link for you. It says donate now. Very simple. Listen, if you want to go to bbbs.org and perhaps look into what it takes to become a mentor, to become a big brother, a big sister, that would be tremendous. But they need your time and they need your money to keep their tremendous mission going. So make sure you look into that. And if you can, spare a couple of bucks, maybe what you would have spent on some super chats this next couple of weeks, perhaps put it towards a worthy cause. And hit that like button.
Yeah.
43 is a great number.
It's a great start.
Great start.
We got nearly to 300
Yes.
while live yesterday. That was pretty cool.
Almost 2.5 minutes into today's show, we're nearing 50, which means we expect a huge total from you today, something that blows away even yesterday's show from day 1 of training camp. I believe in all of you and your ability to do it. Hit that like button. It's totally free. All right. Let's get to it. The big takeaway presented by our friends at Xfinity. We are, of course, live in the Xfinity studio here, and it is time for the big takeaway presented by our friends at Xfinity. And it's Tocchet lulled the ball to a false sense of security, Chuck. He tricked them because there was no rope.
There was no rope.
It doesn't appear to have been a mental test, a torture test.
It was not nearly as long as the infamous rope skate.
But there was a skating test today.
No, I wouldn't call it a test.
Not a test. They skate.
Because I don't think they are allowed to do tests. I believe that did kick in.
I can't find if it's this year or next year, but we saw some video today, and there was at least a warm-up skate, a conditioning skate, whatever the hell you want to call it.
It was less of a warm-up skate and more of an end of practice.
End of practice skate.
This was how both, because they have them separated into 2 groups.
Yeah.
It's Group A, Group B, at least the important groups, and both of those groups to end out their day did this, which, as Cam York put it yesterday, qualifies as NASCAR laps. He did actually call it NASCAR.
I saw that in someone's story.
Yeah, because it isn't a circle; it's an oval.
It is. Listen, I've never, in all the years I played, hockey growing up, I never once had a practice that didn't have some sort of skate of this nature.
Yeah. Whether
it was, you hit all the circles or you do laps like this or suicides or whatever we call them for PC reasons now. I don't think you're allowed to say that.
But anyone who's played hockey knows what
what it is.
You know what they
I've never had a practice. So the idea that it was like day 1 of camp, but it was like, we're working on systems. It's like, that's interesting.
That's a new one.
That's a new one. But I do find it a little funny that it was like, oh my God, it's a whole new world. And then day 2, there was some skating. Listen, they have to skate. It's a sport where you skate miles every night. So it only makes sense.
It was less about testing the guys, but it was a little bit about, hey, we're going to end this. Maybe didn't do as much skating today as we normally do. So, hey, got to get that blood pumping. Got to make sure these guys are in good shape for the start of the year. Not in terms of testing what they did in the offseason, but just, hey, they're not in hockey shape yet. It's training camp. Let's work to get them into some hockey shape.
You can't do this kind of stuff in the season because like it's a really hard game.
Yeah.
They don't play a game until Sunday. This is a good time to get it in. They were always going to skate a little bit.
Indeed.
So I thought, like, other than all the Michkov stuff we're going to get to, I thought that was my big takeaway today. That Tocchet tricked them all. I thought that was good.
It was pretty funny when they moved the nets closer together, and we all up in the perch, as we're all watching on the perch, we all looked at each other. Is he doing it? Is he doing it? But there was no rope. The rope was not brought out.
Rope. All right, so that was that. There is going to be yet another post-practice notes up on our YouTube in a few hours, as there was yesterday. Yesterday's was very popular. Make sure if you haven't checked it out, do it and hit the like button while you're watching it. But there will be another one today for everyone looking forward to that. So for all of the information you need from today's training camp notes and stuff, check that out. But was there anything of note you think is worthy to mention on the main show?
Well, I actually think that you picked the topic perfectly for today, William, because I would say the biggest thing of note for me was the performance overall of one Matvei Michkov. But if we're talking about things that are more housekeeping, Karsen Dorwart, who I mentioned in the post-practice notes video from yesterday, left practice early. He didn't even actually get to the line rushes, which is what messed up the bottom two lines.
Right, yeah.
He was not on the ice today. The Flyers announced he is day-to-day with an upper body injury, so not ideal. He was a guy who was, maybe not one of the favorites to make the team, but certainly in the mix. This clearly hurts his chances. The only other little tidbit of line-related changes, it does seem like, as I mentioned yesterday, that Spencer Gill was paired with Travis Sanheim. A little bit of a surprise. Spencer Gill is not going to make this team. They have him next to the #1 defenseman on the team. It seems like that was kind of a pat on the back for a job well done at rookie camp, because today Spencer Gill was with Austin Moline and Dennis Gilbert, one of the guys they signed as a veteran in the offseason to compete for one of the roster spots at the NHL level. He was paired with Travis Sanheim today. So that was a nice thing for them to do for Spencer Gill. But now that we've moved into day 2, it becomes clear that that was a one-time reward, not you're getting an actual look next to Travis Sanheim.
And as we learned as well, it was a one-day thing for Austin Moline as well.
Yes.
Because the Flyers a little bit ago put out a tweet. I think there was a media advisory as well.
There was.
That they have reduced the training camp roster by 3 players. The camp invitee, goaltender Joe Costanzo, along with defenseman Austin Moline and forward Nathan Quinn, have been reassigned to their respective junior teams. So 2 days in, we've already started all right, we're not going to get you guys into any of the preseason games. Let's try to narrow this group down and start really focusing on some more players who may get a chance in the preseason, may actually have a chance to push for this team. They're just starting to parse down already.
Yeah, I think the only surprising part about this, it's not that these guys were released and reduced from the training camp roster. That's not a surprise at all. It's a surprise that there weren't more, because there are other guys. Like, I'm thinking guys like Luke Vluzwick. I'm thinking even guys like Matthew Gard. These are guys that are going back to juniors. Now, someone like Spencer Gill, we always expected was going to get games. But there are other players who I'm not necessarily expecting to get into preseason games, but they're keeping them around for a few extra days. Maybe they want to see them play in the scrimmage tomorrow. Maybe they are going to get Luke Vluzwick into a game. They feel like he's earned it with his play in rookie camp. So not surprising that they made some cuts, because, again, Nathan Quinn, we're talking about a late-round pick from this year. Austin Moline was a 7th-round pick a couple years ago, and Joe Costanzo is a camp invite. All these guys play junior hockey. Sure, get them back to their teams. I'm a little surprised, though, it wasn't a larger group of guys sent back, and it'll be intriguing to see what they do with the guys who could have been sent back to juniors in this cut, but weren't.
All right, and that's pretty much wraps everything up for a more detailed look at day 2 of camp. Make sure you check out Charlie's post-practice notes, which will be up on the YouTube page in a little bit. It'll be a little while, but it's going to be well worth it. Brenda does a tremendous job with
such
these
a good
things.
job. I cannot tell you how much, like, when we started those videos and it was literally just me trying to memorize a 5-minute long script without mistakes, how much better we've gotten at them. They are so much crisper now. Bryn is adding in interview clips, video clips, graphics. It's really cool. If you haven't checked it out, I hope you have, because you're clearly watching most likely on YouTube. But if you're one of those podcast only listeners, if you're only listening on, Apple Music or Spotify or whatever, check out our YouTube channel and check out those practice videos. They're really cool. And I know we're putting them up on the podcast channels now.
Say, that stuff gets podcast.
It does,
right?
but it's so much better when you get to see all the work Brenna does to make them look and feel even better.
The production value of the post-practice notes among some of the just best overall stuff we do here at PHLY, and I would attribute that to both Charlie and Brenna doing tremendous
I would
work.
say it's like 80 to 90% Brenna.
You have improved so much on camera that it's and not to criticize your work before, but you have improved considerably from when we started 2 years ago.
Well, thank you, Bill.
All right. It's MICHKOV Mania time, baby. Before we get into what he did at camp and what we expect out of him this year and all the fun stuff I want to talk about, I do think it's important to look back at Michkov's rookie season, the 24-25 Philadelphia Flyers season. You just look at what he was able to accomplish as a 19 turning 20-year-old throughout his rookie year. 26 goals. He leads all rookies. I think we kind of expected. I mean, he was the big favorite for Calder going in. We knew one thing. This guy has a nose for the net. He's going to put pucks in. And he did. 26 goals, led all the rookies. 37 assists, was third amongst rookies. His 63 points, tied for second. And 0.79 points a game was third. He also played 80 games, which is like, he got sick the year before. He's had some other reasons to miss games in the past.
He's not the biggest guy.
He's not
So there
huge.
was some concern about how he would hold up at the NHL level. Sure.
He's like sub 180.
Yeah.
Not the biggest dude. And if it isn't for him being infamously scratched a couple of times, he plays every single game,
That's a good point.
Only Calder Trophy and Lane Hudson played all 82 games. Michkov played the second most games amongst all rookies. I break his rookie season up into thirds, though.
Okay.
There's and it's funny because it's like almost the exact same number of games for all three. First 27 games he plays, 27 points. He's a point-a-game player, 11 goals, 16 assists. He's a +5 in that time. And through those 27 games, we're like, yo, we really forget he's going to develop into a star. He is one. Like, that's how it felt.
Danny might have got this pick right, Bill.
Yeah, like Danny was, we talk like, okay, they need more top 5 picks, this and that. They got a first or second overall pick at 7. Congratulations, Danny. You beat the system somehow. Thank God that he told at least one team, don't draft me, I ain't coming.
Yeah.
Those first 27 games, electric. Staying up for those West Coast games early in the season. He had those 2 goals against Edmonton. Just a ton of fun.
There was.
Then there is the lull. There is a middle portion of the season, 26 games, in which he had 7 points, 3 goals, 4 assists, and he is a -20 in that time. 5 of these 7 points came in a 6-game stretch in mid-January, and he had a 2-point game in LA on the Disney trip a couple of weeks before that. So it was no points in 20 of 26 games. He looked gassed. We can criticize Tortorella. He cost Mish the Calder, or at least a Calder finalist spot. Maybe. But it's not as if he was awesome in this middle portion of the season.
That's true. I've said this on multiple occasions. I do believe he got worn down. I think that it may have been just as much mentally as it was physically. And maybe John Tortorella plays a role in that, because John Tortorella is notable for wearing players down mentally.
You think he might be exhausting?
I think it's exhausting to deal with John Tortorella on a daily basis. I think Danny Briere would attest to that fact.
But somehow, some way, despite Mish kind of looking like he was going to, is this what we're going to get for the final, like 50 games of the season or whatever, finds a second wind, and it's aided by the All-Star break.
That did help, I'm sure.
The Four Nations break.
Yeah.
But before that, he was really good as well. Final 27 games of the season, 29 points, over a point a game, 12 goals, 17 assists, and his plus-minus is a much more aesthetically pleasing -3. I know we criticize plus-minus all the time. I just want to include it here to just show you how things went. +5, -20, -3.
Well,
that's an acceptable 2/3 of the season, and in the middle, really bad.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think it's also worth noting, too, that when he really got on the surge, because this speaks to the idea of him finishing strong. We knew coming out of that Four Nations All-Star break that he was probably going to come back refreshed, but then the schedule got busy and maybe he was going to get tired. He was at his peak from a scoring standpoint, basically right after they fired Tortorella. And you would think that if he was physically tired, he would have not had that surge at the end of the year, because that's right after the gauntlet of games they played in March. Instead, maybe the mental tiredness, the mental fatigue did play a role. And look, I'm not going to get into the debate about, should Michkov have been getting 20 minutes a night, whatever. They probably could have given him a few more minutes. But maybe it was the mental exhaustion a little bit of trying to please John Tortorella, of that whole thing of, what do I have to change? What do I have to do to not get into an argument with him on the bench? Maybe that weighed him down a little bit. And then once Torts was gone, we've heard it from multiple players that guys just felt a little bit freer. And maybe Mish just felt a little bit freer.
And let's be honest. It was a goal after Tortorella was relieved of his duties to just kind of lighten up the locker room.
Yeah.
We joked after that one game where I think it was against the Rangers. There's an empty net at the other end. Rangers are pressing to tie it late. And like the highest guy or the lowest guy in the defensive zone, as the Rangers have 6 guys on the ice, is like at the top of the circles. Everyone was taking off for the empty. Like, it wasn't exactly like buttoned up NHL hockey they were playing at the end. So that weighs in as well. You're going to score a little more when you play that way.
Absolutely. They were opening it up. One thing too, and look, I think that the fatigue factor, whether it's physical, mental, or combination of two, played a role. Another thing, though, that shouldn't be, and this is something that's going to be a recurring story all year round. One thing that it definitely did, but it's something to keep in mind. Look, guys are going to be streaky. Rookies, young players especially, they're going to have runs where they feel real good, and then they're going to have runs where they don't feel as good and they don't score as much. That's part of the growing process of becoming an NHL player. But the one thing that Michkov didn't have that other star-level rookies have, usually, was a functional power play.
Yeah.
He didn't, you look at that middle stretch, he didn't have that power play where he could pick up a cheap secondary assist once a week to at least keep him feeling good about himself. He didn't have that because he had to basically carry the power play because it was run so foolishly by the people above him.
Like, if that number in those middle 26 games, he has the 7 points. If that number's 12 or 14, he's a Calder finalist.
Yeah.
I will say, in terms of they could have given him more ice. He was like 17 and a half minutes in that first 27 games. It was when things started to go poorly, all of a sudden his number was under 1550 a game.
And I guess it's a chicken and egg thing. Like,
the
people who think he should have got more ice time are going to say, well, the performance went down because he got less minutes. And the people who think he actually was fatigued are like, well, they cut his minutes because he wasn't playing well. Yeah. So it's one of those things you can debate both ways.
So after all of this, he ends the year, like I said, 26 goals, 63 points, and he finishes 4th in Calder voting. Received 0 first place votes. Most of them were 3rd and 4th place votes. It felt fair. It really did feel fair. I know we can criticize Lane Hudson, all the secondary assists and everything. When you put up that assist total where it's literally historic, I think when records get broken or, numbers from the 80s get matched, you have to kind of defer there. When a goalie is in the mix, I think you really have to look at Dustin Wolf and be like, yeah, goalie is really hard. It's kind of the most important thing.
Yeah.
And then it's just, all right, what do we value more? Celebrini in 10 fewer games or Michkov with the anchor of John Tortorella around him? And it turned out the answer was Celebrini.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed, okay, 3rd or 4th, this will be fair. And it ended up being 4th.
And the center element, Celebrini's
and
a
he's
center.
A center.
Michkov's a wing. That probably played into it as well. Also, Celebrini just got more hype. And I do think this is where I absolutely think that the impact of John Tortorella hurt him in the Calder race. And I mentioned this on Twitter a couple times. All of the other players in the mix, Hudson, Celebrini, like everybody else who was involved, their coaches were constantly pumping their tires in the media. It was constantly, oh man, this kid, he's going to be the best two-way forward in the league. We're giving him all the minutes and he can handle it. This is great. Hudson, it's like, he's the most dynamic defenseman I've ever seen. Their coaches were in the tank for them, as normally coaches are. Whereas John Tortorella, whenever you interviewed him about Michkov, it was always talking about the things he wasn't good at, which allowed the conversation to be focused on Michkov's flaws rather than the kind of ridiculous things he was doing on the ice, both in terms of the eye test and the numbers.
Yeah, it was very much, and I'm just choosing to look back at it like kind of the way we're looking at the whole Tortorella tenure. Yes, maybe some things were negatives at the time that will ultimately pay off down the line. It would be sick if Matvei Michkov was the first ever Calder Trophy winner for the Philadelphia Flyers. But if he's 1% better for the rest of his career for having had Torts bust his balls nonstop, then it was worth it. 1% makes it worth it.
I don't disagree. And besides, we know this is ultimately going to end with Porter Martone beating Gavin McKenna for the Calder Trophy in a season.
Can you imagine?
He's going to win the Hobie Baker over Gavin McKenna this year, and then he's going to beat him for the Calder the following year.
I love it. Charlie is TGIFing really hard right now with his level of optimism. Listen, we have a lot more Matvei Michkov to get to. We're going to look to the season ahead, and actually, I'm wondering, do we need a new nickname for him now that Torts is gone and Torts is the one who dubbed him the Mad Russian? But before we get into any of that, it's time to take our first break. Listen, we have a big weekend ahead. We have college football. We have week 3 pro football, and you need the right place. Obviously, NHL preseason, the regular season kicking off soon. And you want to watch all of it on Xfinity, because Xfinity is the ultimate destination for sports fans. You don't want lagging. You don't want buffering. You don't want to be switching between a million different apps to find the game you're looking for. You want everything all in one place, and that is what Xfinity provides. If you call yourself a sports fan, you have to have Xfinity. From the crystal clear picture and sound provided by Xfinity 4K to the awesome experience where you get even live updates of stats and notifications right on your TV screen. And let us not forget, you can watch up to 4 games at once with the multi-view. You have the quad box, use the quad box. It's that simple. For more information, make sure you check out Xfinity.com. Make sure your next fan experience isn't a fan fail. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box. And now it's time to tell you about the Ford F-Series, the legendary Ford F-Series. It's the best-selling truck in America for 48 straight years. It blends that amazing work-ready toughness with modern-day tech and luxury, and it comes in up to 6 powertrain options, including a hybrid and a fully electric Lightning model. It's got best-in-class towing up to 14,000 pounds, depending on configuration, and it's made of military-grade aluminum alloys, so the body is tough, lightweight, and corrosion-resistant. You know I love those Max Recline seats, because sometimes you want almost 180 degrees, so maybe you can catch some Z's on the job site, and you can select different drive models like drive modes like mud, sand, snow, and tow haul or eco for the best possible driving experience. And Ford Blue Cruise hands-free highway driving system is available on certain trims. For more information, for everything you need to know, visit your local Ford store. All right, this is what I want to hit first, Charlie. Our expectations going into last year were, Mish, we really think this guy has superstar potential, but we know the power play is bad. The team overall is just not good. He doesn't have a 1C to play off of.
John Tortorella's the head coach.
John Tortorella, notoriously not all that easy to work for, to play for. So we were like, it probably does feel a lot more like a regular job when it's John Tortorella every day.
Well, I'm just going by the people who were actually
worked for him,
actually working for him. Like, obviously, he had a very good relationship with Brad Shaw, but certain team employees might say that he was difficult to work with.
I've gotten that impression. So looking at what our expectations were going in to last season, I feel like we were just trying to be like, yes, I am excited. But when he has 45 points, I don't want to be like, well, he's a bust, because these things can certainly happen. I think we were pretty realistic, and he met and almost surpassed our expectations. Would you say that?
Yeah, I
Like after 2 weeks, our expectations were like 90 points. But this time last year, I think maybe we were a little more reserved.
I'm not sure about you. I think he probably exceeded my expectations. I think I probably, if I went back and listened to the podcast where I projected points, I think he probably came in at around the point per game rate I assumed he would, but he played more games. I thought he was going to miss some time with injury just because he's getting used to the NHL. Maybe he takes a big hit. Maybe he, tweaks a knee or something. The fact that he played 80 games, that was something that exceeded my expectations. I did not expect him to avoid injury. I would say point per game totals, he basically hit what I about expected. I feel like for you though, you seem like you thought he was going to do more than I did this time last year.
This time last year, yeah, I was probably saying pointing because I do think I remember you having him in like the 45-50 range, maybe, but with missed time, it would be near like, the 3/4 of a point a game, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think
Probably.
that's around
That
where
would
I
be, if I'm remembering
I feel like
correctly.
I probably picked something around maybe like 50 points and 60 or 50 and
Yeah.
65, something like that. I feel like that's probably about what I projected. And I mean, ultimately, I came in pretty close, except for the fact that he played in more games because he avoided injury. And props to you, Michkov.
Yeah, no, and listen, being on the ice is a huge part of it. Like I always say, can't make the club in the tub. And he missed 0 time with injury. 2 games were healthy scratches. And they made sure to let us know that he was healthy.
Yeah.
As John always does. Even if, say, his captain isn't healthy, he still says, nah, he's fine. I'm scratching him on purpose. But anyway, yeah, maybe I probably had him at like 70, I would guess. And it's not like 63. Like, okay. Yeah, again, if he doesn't have that little lull in the middle, he's right there.
Yeah.
Even if he
had
has
that little lull in the
even if
middle, he might be point per game.
Even if he has the lull, it's like, yeah, he could still have hit 70 with just like 2 more games
Yeah.
of a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I think he kind of production wise probably hit right in the realistic expectation. Yeah, I'm sure there are people who were like, nah, he's gonna come in right away and be 100. I bet many of them are in our chat right now.
They might.
I'm sure Kelly was very optimistic. I'm sure my projection was closer to point a game than yours was. But in terms of what was realistic, I think he probably hit right nail on the head what can be expected of a foreign immigrant who doesn't speak the language playing for a terrible team.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's true.
And so looking back, I think he pretty much met the expectations, and now he has the burden of higher expectations this year, I would say. But for a rookie year, I would say maybe not A+, but A.
Oh yeah, I think he got an A. Absolutely. Yeah, maybe not A+, but A, absolutely. He was one of the few players last year I think legitimately deserves an A for the work he did, especially given the circumstances he was under, both from a environment standpoint in terms of country and environment standpoint in terms of coach.
If he hits that empty net, I might be tempted to give him the A+.
Okay.
It was the most ridiculous. The only precision shooter on the team was just like,
he was still talking when apparently one of his interviews in Russia this offseason, he was still
mad.
talking about how angry he was about that.
He's still mad about it. No, that's when we'll get to the Kurz article in a little bit maybe, and just like him wanting to be on the ice with the empty net. Like he probably wants it even more now.
Oh yeah.
No, give me one time to go get the empty net goal just so I don't feel like a fool. Like, to just not score in that situation.
But getting to your point, your question is what are your expectations for him this season? And I want to make a distinction here between what I think are reasonable expectations for Michkov
and what's possible.
And what I actually, if I was, and I do not, but if I actually was betting in Vegas, like how many points do I think he's going to get? I think reasonable expectations for Michkov this year are probably something like breaks 30 goals, ends up in the 70-point range. I think that is reasonable. You're expecting a jump. You're expecting him to get better because I don't think it's reasonable. It's possible. I don't think it's reasonable to think he's going to regress. He's probably going to get more minutes. He has a coach who isn't going to be likely scratching him, or at least less likely to scratch him. So I think it's reasonable to think like 30-70. But if you ask me, I think I would predict point per game. I think he's going to take a leap this year. I really do.
And you've been saying that since like Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Like this has been a thing you've thought since watching the end of Michkov's season and how he finished strong.
Yeah.
You were like, as long as he's builds himself up enough so he doesn't have these just exhausted. One, he can have longer shifts. He's not dead at the end of shifts where the last 18 seconds of the shift is like he's got no legs. So if he is going to try to score, it's because he's, standing at the opposite blue line just waiting. Like if he can just get himself in shape enough to play the minutes we think he can, yeah, point per game very much on the table.
And so far at camp, I know there were those trolls online who were acting like he was showing up like gaining so much weight.
Those were so funny.
It's not even that I was annoyed with who was doing it. It's that I was annoyed that people were believing it.
I mean, the photos, and I should have gotten one for Bryn, but the photos were so obviously photoshopped.
Yeah. And then people just started believing
it. Have you seen
bonkers?
Have you seen on Instagram like the Tony Soprano's underground where they like put him into like it looks like that.
Yep.
And people are like, oh my God, he's out of shape. Like that's not a human being. Like, what are we talking about?
It was ridiculous. This is where, as I've said before, some people need a class on internet literacy. Some people need to realize when something is an obvious bit and obviously fake. But going back to what I was getting at today, they did that skate, and Rick Tocchet, without even being asked, made a point that Matvei Michkov was leading the way. On those lap skates, he was leading the way. He was going hard. He wasn't huffing and puffing. And I remember last year at the Torts rope skate, Michkov struggled.
I remember it was like the first real interaction between the two. And it was, I guess he didn't, take the final couple strides, kind of just glided to the end of his first go. And Torts was like, we skate to the end.
Yeah.
And listen, that's what the coach is trying to do here. It's as much a mental test as a physical test. And it's good to see that one hurdle we talked like, okay, how does he get to the next level? Well, he needs to be in a little bit better shape. Yeah. You can't understand what the NHL is till you get to the NHL. It looks as if he did take it seriously, alleviating, I wouldn't say our concerns, but I was expecting some like Rocky IV montage videos of him pushing tires up mountains and whatnot. And it was like, hey, here I am in Dubai again. Like, oh, okay. But then you see him, and at least for now, he took the offseason very seriously.
It does seem like he is in. I want to make it clear, it's not like he was in bad shape last year. If anybody's watched his workout videos, this is a guy with a drive. He wants to be the best, and he's not going to just sit around and eat potato chips all summer. He wants to be the best. He knows. I just don't think he necessarily prepared the right way for the NHL going into last season. And if today was any indication, I think he prepared the right way, or at least better than he did last season in terms of being ready for an 82-game grind in the NHL level.
There's just different ways to work. Like we've heard, I can't remember if it was Brent Flair, maybe it was Riley Armstrong, but someone recently who was like, Bobby Brink was a guy who you couldn't get off the ice. Like he was just a rink rat. He was there nonstop, and it's great. We need you working on your on ice game. But there's a weight room too.
Yeah.
And like, not to criticize him, just like he didn't understand the importance of it. And now maybe a little bit more with a little bit more seasoning, like a season under his belt gets that, okay, that's as equally important part of the game. So I think that's just seeing that right away, that can raise our expectations. Before we get to what he did in camp today and everything, I do want to ask, I want to put it to the chat. Or if you're listening podcast after the fact, whatever, hit us up, the PHLY Flyers, Twitter or Blue Sky. Accepting nominations for the new nickname.
Ooh.
Because I don't want to totally throw the Mad Russian aside because it was such a cool moment.
And it's a cool nickname.
And it's a very cool nickname. We have some cool merch for it still. But I feel like we need something for the new era for this next chapter of Michkov's career. I am like workshopping. There we go.
Got it.
Something in my head that's like on a mission, but it's MICH. Like something like there's got to be something there. I'm workshopping it. I'm not saying it's right. There's got to be something. So if you have a good idea, hit us up. Literally anywhere, and maybe we'll make some merch soon. It's been a while since we had new merch. All right, so that's that. Michkov in camp today and what we have seen and what our expectations are. Charlie, I want to play this video from Jordan Hall.
It was a good one.
Because it's just one of those little It's everything. It's everything you want to see.
everything.
At least like
This video is everything.
at least like from the top of the circles in on offense. Everything you're looking to see from Matvei Michkov right here. So this is him at camp today. Brushes off Ty Murchison, takes the puck to the middle, goes back against the grain, and that's Grabenkin on the far corner, on the far post.
Yep.
And little tap in,
Boom.
easy as pie.
Yep.
Nothing they can do.
Easy.
Took out the defenseman who can't recover in time. Finds the man on the far post.
And look, Ty Murchison, who's the defenseman that Michkov dumps on this play, he's not a top-tier prospect in the organization. He's got a contract. He's been signed, so he's going to play in the AHL this season. But one thing he does have going for him is size. He's 6'2". He's 207. He's a big defenseman. He's certainly a lot bigger than Michkov, and it doesn't matter. Michkov is going to win that puck, and if Ty Murchison is going to get in his way, well, he's hitting the ice. That shows, number one, the drive and the competitiveness of Michkov. Like, this is a drill, and he's doing this in a drill. But also, he's strong.
This is, like you said, it's a guy with a bunch of NCAA experience under his belt. He's going to get his first full season in the AHL. He is a little bit older than me. He's 22 and a half years old. He's a grown man.
Yeah.
Bounced right off of him.
Yep.
And then he makes the play. It's just, okay, all of these elements. It's how do we add? How do we get better? That's one of them. Conditioning and strength. Boom. See him both on that play, and then he still has the vision and the playmaking ability.
Exactly. The skill still pops. And now, granted, again, this is Murchison and Luke Vluzwick. We got a 6th-round pick from this past year, or 5th-round pick, I believe Vluzwick was. Quinn was the 6th. And then Murchison, who, probably 3rd pair upside of the NHL level, and he's not even there yet. Still, great pass. Good vision, good accuracy, threads the needle. And that's after making a big play a couple seconds before to win the puck. It was just exciting. And it was funny when this play happened. I was watching, and it was a like stand up and like wow kind of play. And I immediately go to tweet about it, like, hey, don't want to get people too excited, but Matvei Michkov looks real good. And I tweet about it, I'm thinking like, man, I wish I would have taken a video. And then I say it like, did anybody else see that play? And Jordan's like, Jordan Hall from NBC Sports Philly, just like, oh yeah, I got a video. I just tweeted out. I'm like, Jordan, we need that video. Because that is a great video.
Hardest working man in show business right there.
He's always recording
Jordan
videos.
Hall is just
so many. He's constantly recording.
He can be counted on.
It's wild.
So I think like in the off season, that was the biggest area for growth. Can he get stronger? Can he get in better condition? We'll see how he holds up over the 82 game
Still
season.
Early.
We could only go on the proof we have thus far. And thus far, he is showing signs that those things were improved upon.
Yes.
In season, I think that will pay off with, okay, we can play him more minutes and we can count on him to not fall off for, 2 months at a time the way he did last year. That's great. I really, really love seeing this other video, though. This is from Travis Bollinghoff. And I don't know if I've ever seen this before, at least with us. Coaches work one-on-one with players on different things. And like we said, there was the interaction with Mish last year, like, coaching him up. But on like individual skill stuff, the head coach feeding one-timers to the star player, I can't say I've seen this from the coaching staff. Is this something you can remember where the head coach does this?
No.
It's usually the skills coach, one of the assistants, another teammate like it was yesterday.
And I can tell you one thing. I'm sure that Danny Briere and Keith Jones and Dan Hilferty, when they saw this video pop up on social media, they were standing up and cheering, because this is why they hired Rick Tocchet. This is why, not just because he's their friend, not just because he's a former Flyer, it's things like this. This is why they were sold on Rick Tocchet, because like John Tortorella couldn't do this. The reason why Rick Tocchet is able to do this is because he was not just a former NHL player, but a really good one. And he comes with the credibility where he can go and be telling Matvei Michkov, like, this is how I scored hundreds of goals at the NHL level and was an all-star. And Michkov is going to respect him and be like, yeah, this guy knows his stuff. He did it. He was a star-level player for multiple years at the NHL level, scored a ton of goals, scored a ton of points. This is why they were so excited about the Rick Tocchet idea. And hey, you know what? This is how you build a relationship with a player. This is how you build a relationship with a star-level player. Number one, you're taking him under your wing a little bit, but also you're earning his respect. That's important.
440 career goals for Toc, 130 of them on the power play. He might actually have some insight here.
He really
And
might.
that's when we talk about things Mish can improve on or just do more. This is one of them. Because like I said yesterday, when we saw, I think it was Zegras and Michkov working on some one-timers at the end of
Yes,
practice
that was after
yesterday.
day one.
His second career goal, and the first one that wasn't just like, he's pushing the goalie into the net. I do think it was legal because he was attacking the puck and not just, forking the goalie in. But that second one, low down, bad angle, one timer that he puts in the net, he has that nose for the net. We saw it like a couple of times the rest of the year. This could be a weapon that could actually improve this horrible power play. And you look at some of the things that hurt him in the scoring race last year. All right, yes, 8 power play goals, was tied for first among rookies, 17 power play points, third, did well amongst rookies. But he is being counted on to carry this offense.
Yeah.
Tied with a whole bunch of guys, including Travis Konechny, for 94th in the league in power play points. If that's in the top 50, suddenly we have an effective power play.
Exactly. And I don't think anyone who has watched Matvei Michkov doubts that he has the ability to score a ton of power play points. He scored a lot of power play points for a rookie last year. But I don't think anybody watches him and thinks like, yeah, he's going to be a mid power play weapon. No, he's the kind of guy where, look, he might not be Kucherov where he's finishing with like 60 power play points in a season. Hey, maybe he is. At least he's not going to be that yet. But there's no reason why a guy with his skills can't be scoring 30 a year, at least.
All right, we have some more Michkov stuff to get to, including some quotes from Rick Tocchet I want to talk about. But now it's time for our second break. All right, you know what time of year it is. And this time of year, I feel like always functions as like a New Year's light. It's September, school is back in, all of the sports seasons are starting, which means it's not a bad time for you to get started working on your finances. Maybe get that credit score back in line with where you want it to be. And if you're a member at TrueMark Financial Credit Union, you already have a huge leg up because you have Savvy Money at your disposal. Savvy Money is a free tool right inside TrueMark's online banking app. And I use it myself, and it's like having your own financial coach right in your pocket. The way Toc is feeding one-timers to Mish, that will be you with Savvy Money feeding you ways to improve your credit score. They give you notifications if anything's changed and tips to improve it so you can check your score anytime without it taking a hit. If you're already on Team TrueMark, fire up that app, check out Savvy Money. And if you're not a member yet, what are you waiting for? All you got to do, go to TrueMark.com/PHLY or swing by one of their 24 branches and open an account. TrueMark Financial Credit Union is federally insured by the NCUA. Now it's time to tell you about our friends at Bet365, because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. From the 90 million users worldwide to almost 800,000 live stream events each year. And today, Bet365 offers the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 different sports. And I love the early payout offer. You can get it in hockey, you can get it in the NBA, and it's available in Major League Baseball as well, with playoffs just around the corner. You're a winner if your team goes 5 runs ahead with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections. No reason to sweat it out. You go up 5 in the first inning. Doesn't matter if the bullpen blows it. You are already a winner. So check out Bet365, and we have breaking news from our friends there. New customers now get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5, win or lose. All you got to do is sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, and make a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets, whether your initial bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you're someone who has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Chuck. Couple of questions I have, because we are looking to see him. Michkov take a jump in production. I would say if he has 65 points, I don't think it's the end of the world.
And we've talked about that. If he doesn't have the big breakout this season, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Just means it didn't happen this season. But I do think it's possible it could happen.
I do as well. And we talked listen, he was among rookie forwards last year. 1641 TOI, second behind Celebrini. It's not as if he was never playing.
Yeah.
But Celebrini was over 3 minutes more per game than him.
Right.
And the conditioning, the strength, that is all going to help. We're hoping a new coaching staff and maybe the addition of Zegras and one of these defensemen grabbing hold of the top spot on the power play, that improves things. But I am looking at what he's going to be at even strength right now. And you tweeted yesterday about the Tocchet's Scotty Bowman approach.
Right.
And the idea of forward pairs. Now, we liked a lot of what we saw out of Coots and Michkov together last year. They both have very high hockey IQs, and while you don't think they'd be a match, they actually really were.
Yeah.
Seemed like he was the only one really able to play off of Michkov, or at least use his strengths to keep up with him in the offensive zone. Could, though, playing with Sean Couturier, who put up 45 points last year, which is one of the highest totals of his career if you take out the times he was with G. Do you think that maybe limits what we can expect offensively from Mish?
So, in theory, yes, because look, it would be better if Michkov was playing with a Connor McDavid, a Jack Eichel, a Nathan McKinnon, a true 1C that is an impact guy. Yeah, that would be ideal. But that guy isn't on this roster.
Yep.
So I'm not going to look at it and say, well, it would be great if it would be better if he was with a more talented center. I don't know if there is a more all-around effective center on this roster than Sean Couturier. Trevor Zegras certainly could be offensively. He has been in the past. But I don't know if he is a better hockey player than Sean Couturier. Look, I think people will be more on board with my optimism about Michkov than they are with my optimism about this guy. I am very optimistic about Sean Couturier this year. I think he's going to have a good year. I think he's going to score more than 45 points this year, if for no other reason than John Tortorella is gone. I really do believe, number one, that Torts did not put Couturier in situations to succeed. He didn't give him as much power play time. He wasn't giving him the types of shifts that he was getting under old coaches. But I also think Rick Tocchet has made it abundantly clear he wants his team to hold on to pucks more. He wants them to cycle more. He doesn't want them to be an entirely rush-based offense. You know who that fits a lot better? Sean Couturier. I think Sean Couturier was always a bit of a square peg into a round hole in terms of the way Tocchet wanted this team to attack offensively. And I think Tocchet is going to be a much better fit for him. Like, it would not at all shock me, assuming Couturier stays healthy, if he finishes with somewhere close to 60 points. And if he finishes somewhere close to 60 points, I don't think that's going to be a hindrance for Michkov at all.
No, and I think playing this way, we talk about how it was so much a one and done offense last year. Again, Mish 199 shots on goal, second among rookies, behind only Celebrini. But Celebrini played 10 fewer games and had 37 more shots on goal. More shots equals more chances to score. Like that alone, if we are going to have possession and if he's going to be with Coots, who we know is going to win a ton of faceoffs. They get some offensive zone starts out there, and they get some second opportunities. First shot doesn't go in. It's not a rush the other way. We actually might forecheck a little, establish that, and have chances to pick up secondary and even tertiary offensive opportunities the way this team really hasn't in the last 2-3 years under Torts. So I do think all right, he's not Nathan McKinnon. He's not a 1C classic sense offensive play driver. He can do things in a different system that will actually lead to more. It's going to be on Michkov to lead this offense.
Sure, of course
like he's the guy. Maybe unfair for a 21-year-old, but like this is why you're here, bro.
It's the reality.
It's the reality. But I do think he can use his strengths, Couturier can, to help get more opportunities for the guy who's leading the thing.
Yeah, and Tocchet actually made an interesting observation today when we were talking to him after practice, because one thing they did a lot of today was work on defensive zone coverages and working on defending. His whole concept is he wants the goalie only to have to worry about one half of the net. The other half of the net, that's covered by the defense. That the defense is making sure that there's no back doors, that there's no cross slot passes, that the goalie can focus on his half of the net, and that's it. And he was talking about defensive zone coverages, and he was saying, there was a play where, first he said Mish, then he backtracked a little bit, but it was probably Michkov, let's be honest here. There was a play where Michkov went too far over in the coverage. And they had talked earlier in the session about, in that situation, Couturier's job, his goal in that session would, in that spot, in that particular sequence, would have usually been to go over and pressure the guy with the puck. But Tocchet was like, Couturier is smart enough defensively to recognize that Michkov made the mistake and then cover for Michkov rather than just be so locked into what he had been told, that Couturier is smart enough to cover for his line mates, and without saying it, covering for Michkov, because Michkov is going to make mistakes defensively. He's going to commit when he shouldn't. And Couturier can be that cover for him where he recognizes when Michkov makes a mistake, so it ends up not even really being a mistake, because Couturier just does what Michkov should have done and everything's okay. And while that doesn't necessarily help you score a goal in the short term, what it does is it gives you more opportunities to have the puck, because then maybe you win the puck back quicker and then you get up ice, and then Michkov has 20 seconds in the offensive zone that he wouldn't have had if Trevor Zegras was his center and doesn't recognize that as quickly as Couturier did.
All right. A couple of side quests, because you brought this up, that I want to get to before we wrap on Mish. First, let's do this Tocchet one. This quote from Kevin Kurse's piece in The Athletic that I just really, really liked. And listen, I'm pro shot blocking. I understand. But Tocchet says, I know this is a big shot blocking team, but I don't need 5 or 6 goalies. I'm a box out guy. So we're going to have to box out. We want the goalies to see the puck. There's a time and place to block shots, but I think for me, the goalie has to understand where we want the puck to go. It feels as if that's going to help everybody. Yeah, I get blocking shots, but also I don't want all of my forwards missing a week because they have a foot injury, because their foot is too swollen to fit in a skate.
Yeah.
And I think that could help. And I think it could just help this team break out a little better and not spend so much time in the D zone when you're just so sucked into the middle that, okay, we're keeping them to the perimeter, but we never get to loose pucks. I do think that could help a lot.
Maybe we'll see how it plays out. I don't know if I totally agree with that. It could. I don't know if I totally agree.
They have to execute.
Yeah, that the Flyers were trapped in their own zone all the time because they were just collapsing. I think it's honestly, if anything, going to help the goalies, because it seems like what Tocchet's view of the situation is that, hey, we're going to keep them to the outside, and then we're going to let them shoot from the outside if they want. He said something like that today. His thing is like, okay, that's the goalie's job. He didn't say that's the shot blocker's job to make sure that the puck never even gets to the goalie. It is, hey, if we keep them to the outside, if we keep them to the points, and we keep them to the perimeter on the half boards, on the sides, we're going to trust our goalies can make those saves. John Tortorella really didn't.
No.
He was like, no, we got to block as many shots as possible. And one thing that did was it took away the easy saves. It took away the 5 or 6 distant shots that are easy for goalies to stop, that turn an 890 save percentage into a 900 save percentage.
Yes, and we know save percentages are down. Teams are pickier with where they're shooting from. Everyone but Carolina, basically.
Yeah, basically.
And even Carolina, it wasn't 40 shots a game. It was 32. That was down as well. The league is just kind of adapting a little bit. But if you can force those outside shots, your goalies have to make those saves.
They do. And it seems like Tocchet is going to trust the goalies to make those saves in a way that Tortorella really didn't. Before we continue, we're at 271 likes. We are real close to 300. We didn't break 300 yesterday. Let's break 300 today.
300 live makes us look really good, so do that for us.
Really does.
Please hit the like button. All right. The other side quest I wanted to get to, because I think we only have one super chat right now.
I think so.
I know we're not expecting this line to stick together, the thing we saw yesterday with Coots, Michkov, and Grebenkin. But I see a little chemistry with Grebenkin yesterday. I see that play that we showed earlier with Mish finding him on the back post where he goes back against the grain as he carries one way, passes the other. Could the chemistry offset maybe? Is he one of our 4 or 5 best wingers? No, but is he best suited for Mish? I kind of want to see it. And we're going to get the preseason. It doesn't have to happen in every preseason game. It doesn't have to be night one. I kind of want to see what these guys can do together, though.
I hope they at least get some looks. The big concern I have with that trio is the
slow.
speed.
It's a slow
slow line. It's funny watching that line in practices, and then watching the Luchenko Tippett Gendron line. That is like the hot rod.
Two different sports.
Yeah, it's truly they're playing two different styles. Now, maybe it works. Maybe they can grind it out. It's not like the line of Forrester, Brink, and Cates last year was particularly quick, and that worked. So maybe it can work. I don't mind giving it a look. I certainly don't mind giving it a look in preseason.
Yeah.
And if Gurbankin makes the team, I don't mind giving it a look in the regular season. I just do worry a little bit about that lack of speed.
It does. It has to be a concern. There's no way it isn't. Like, it's not as if Gurbankin and Mish are slow, but with an actually slow center, two guys who aren't fast.
Exactly.
Like, now this is just a slow line.
Yeah. It's a cycle line.
Yeah.
It's a cycle line, or it's a line that basically gets their offense in two ways. Either they cycle it, or they win pucks in the defensive zone, and then Michkov breaks out, and they send him on a breakaway.
One man breakout with 39, like, find him. Or, listen, it couldn't kill you. One of the reasons Craig Berube got fired is because he refused to give Sean Couturier some offensive zone faceoffs. Let's not let the next former Flyer head coach make the same mistake. I know he's you need him out there for the D-zone faceoff sometimes, but if he's with Mish, maybe let's set them up in the offensive zone and he just gets it back to him. He rips a one-timer, goal, shift over. You know, it doesn't sound hard. It sounds like
it's very easy. In fact,
like they could
score on every shift,
score every time.
Seems so easy.
If you never
straightforward.
If you never have to play defense, it'll never be a concern. That's all I'm saying.
There you go.
All right, let's hit that. Oh, you know what? Before we're over 300. Thank you very much, very much
gang.
appreciate that. We appreciate you all so much here at PHLY and all the support you give us. Now we are once again asking you to find. I don't know if Bryn is ever actually laughing at me for real, but it's like having the studio audience. It's just affirmation that I made.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if it's real or not. I like hearing it. But we are once again asking you to show us your support with something that's totally free and easy to do. We thank you very much for being a part of this PHLY community. And we want your feedback on how to improve things here at PHLY, whether it's for this show or across the network. We are asking you to take a quick survey. It takes just a couple of minutes, and your input helps really shape the future of our content here. Just go to allphly.com/survey. That's allphly.com/survey, or scan that QR code you see on your screen right now. Takes a couple of minutes, and every respondent will be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Who couldn't use $100 right now? Something that's only going to take a couple of minutes that could pay off for you and help us a lot. We'd really appreciate if you did that. allphly.com/survey. I got some DMs from people who said they already filled it out.
Nice.
Told us we're awesome. So I appreciate that. But really, if you have any comments, concerns, questions, allphly.com/survey. Let's hit that super chat. Adam S., of course, our most consistent.
He's found the super chat button.
He has taken the belt. He is. We've had some great ones over the years. JH, Gary B, Lyndon. There's a whole community, but Adam has just been going hard these last few days.
Not wrong.
Is it just me, or is Michkov going to be a character and hilarious once he speaks fluent English? He already has jokes.
Yes, that is absolutely what I've heard. I've heard he's a funny guy. He's got like a dry, sarcastic sense of humor. And when he gets a handle on, he really does understand it. He understands English pretty well. Like, and I maybe even beyond pretty well. Seems like he understands English very well. He just doesn't feel confident speaking it, especially when he's on the record.
There's always just it's the media sort of thing. And whether it's right or not, whether it's fair or not, to Charlie's ilk, like, there is the fear, like, I'm going to be taken out of context. And I'm not even trying to do an accent. It just it wasn't even a Russian accent. I don't know what the hell it was. Like, I'm going to be taken out of context, and then everyone's going to turn on me. And then there's the Philadelphia factor, where you've only heard the stories of how bad it is here. And, like, you just don't want to. But yeah, it does seem like he has the classic, maybe not Briz, but the average hilarious Russian personality at the very least.
Nearly as goofy as Briz.
No one's goofier than Briz.
But the sarcasm, the dry sense of humor, that seems very real.
There are professional comedians who aren't as goofy as Briz.
Sure.
All right. And with that, do we have anything? Oh, the merch sale. There's a merch sale going on. Let's hit that and hopefully not have to do overtime. But go to allphly.com. click the merch tab, and there's a whole bunch of stuff on sale, at least 20% off, all city warehouse sale, up to 85 on certain items. Make sure you check it out. All right, that's all the time we have for you today. Follow us right here on the podcast. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that reminder bell so you never miss us when we go live. Make sure you follow us on all the socials at PHLY_Flyers on Twitter, and follow the podcast. All right, that's it. I'm Bill Matz. That's Charlie O'Connor. Go Birds.
We all silly like the mayor.